Hey there, crypto friends. Currently in Iceland. Behind me there's an ocean with ponies running around, and got a new travel mic here set up, so I've been playing with these levels just now, and we'll see how that turns out. Probably have to adjust them, but we're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and BCH here, and we obviously had another bear break, so the bears continue to remain in control. The entire bounce on the 4-hour time frame. It was a great day to travel because the price didn't do anything. But if the price doesn't do anything, it favors the bears because the burden of proof is on the bulls, and if the bulls do not show us anything, then the bears keep full control. So here on the weekly time frame, lower high, lower high, lower high, and our lower high at 7,400. And here we are coming up to our support level. So at this point, it is still a descending triangle pattern. I've been calling it an equilibrium. You can call it either. Same thing. Whenever I say equilibrium, I mean higher lows and lower highs. And in this instance, this descending triangle is a higher low, very small higher lows, and a lower high clear pattern. So at this point, we're watching the daily chart, and it's very clear the daily chart's extended with 4 red days in a row and the RSI going from the low 60s all the way down to the mid 30s. Can we see a straight shot down and break 5,900 from here? Absolutely. But I wouldn't expect a huge dump after 5,900 because we're going to be so extended already. So this is the kind of scenario where if I were a bear, I wouldn't be playing that break. I would have already been entering positions on these bounce attempts, which give us some top fishing opportunities, which I'll talk about in just a moment. As far as the bulls go, again, I just have no interest in trying to make plays down here. The risk to reward is not there for the bulls, and if we do see a move that gives us extremely overextended hourly and 4-hour and 15-minute RSI levels right down to that 5,900 support, then it's worth a potential bottom fishing play because, again, the risk will be so small that the reward could easily pay that off, even if it's just a very small bounce for that reward. But right now, the 4-hour time frame, here's this very clear leg down. It was a scenario where we just had this tightening range and the exponential resistance. So if I see this as a bear, I'm saying to myself, all right, well, I'll just enter a bearish position going with the trend. I will exit if 65.30 breaks the top of the bull bounce, and that's that. So if I enter that trade at 64.30, I'm risking a $100 move to the upside, and the potential reward of that trade is $300 very quickly. So again, it took a long time, long and drawn out, didn't change anything for pretty much 24 hours or so, but obviously this new leg down very clearly tells us the bears remain in control. So we're going to be watching for the same thing. We're going to be watching for a bounce attempt and the exponential resistance is dropping down. Again, at this point, the bulls have to have a catalyst because we had this bounce and there was a complete 180 flip of sentiment. The bears just sucked the soul out of the bulls very easily and very quickly. And right now, the bulls have no soul until we have a fundamental reason to. So all rumors are flying around right now. That's really all the bulls have. Rumors that the ETF is going to be approved, rumors that ETH futures are coming and there's going to be some loading up there. So again, these are rumors, and you have to take everything that you hear that somebody heard from somebody else with a grain of salt, because as we know, that's not reliable information. It's nice to hear and it's nice to be aware of, but again, you say, okay, I know that information. I'm not going to establish my trade game plan based around it. But if I see some signs of the bulls showing up, if I see this news reflected on the chart in volume or accumulation being, long lower wicks of bulls buying the dip, bear breaks with no follow through. If I see that happening, then I start to pay more attention. But a rumor with no follow through on the chart doesn't matter in the slightest to me. It's just a rumor. So again, the bears have everything in their favor, and it's up to a sentiment shift, catalyst kind of move to shift things for the bulls, and we just can't count on that. I'm never going to enter a trade where I need news to save me. So resistance is 64.60 followed by 65.30. Those are our two levels on this bounce attempt. Anything under that is just a lower high. And again, the RSI here, let's see if we just do another flag. The flag cooled the RSI off from 16.17 all the way back up to 30, which allowed for another leg down. So we're watching for the potential of that happening again. We're watching the 4-hour exponential resistance. We have all exponential resistances to watch again. So we're going to watch the 15-minute first. If the bulls can get over 6,200 here and see continuation of this bounce, we zoom out to the hourly exponential resistances, which are nowhere nearby. And then after that, we zoom out to the 4-hour. I'll start paying attention to the bulls a bit more seriously if they can change this 4-hour trend. If they do that, then we're going to look for the daily bounce to try and stay within this descending triangle pattern. And of course, we would anticipate the daily chart is going to form a lower high on this bounce due to the size of the pullback. But there's no sign of that yet at this point, and I'm going to wait for the 4-hour time frame to give me that sign and remain patient as a bull. Bears are very comfortable. They have no reason to cover at this point. At this point, they are either locking in profit, locking in partial profit, or just setting their stop loss somewhere where a trend change would trigger them out. And we don't have that happening anytime soon. So that's where we stand on Bitcoin. Again, the vast majority of altcoins are trading very similar to Bitcoin and are just as weak. The two names that stand out are Dash and ETP. Those daily charts are clearly a little bit different than what we're seeing on Bitcoin. They're a little bit stronger, and that's saying something. Obviously, the entire cryptocurrency space is seeing weakness, and it's all very similar. The fact that, you know, only one or two names, there's a couple more out there, but they're standing out, and, you know, we don't have anybody else standing out. That shows us how significant the correlations are. And once that dump happened a few days ago on Bitcoin, for whatever reason, manipulation, whatever you want to call it, correlations really picked up with the entire crypto space when that happened. And we're still seeing that with all the weakness in the crypto space, because right now it's very clear the bears are the direction to be trading right now. That's where there is easy short-term gains. That's where you're going with the trend, and that's where the best risk to reward scenario is. So the BTC shorts are covering right now into this weakness, which is always worth noting. You know, I would be covering too. I would be partially covering. If I had a position, I'd be exiting half, giving myself the potential for an extreme flush under 5,900, but also knowing that a daily bounce is coming sooner rather than later after this 4-day pullback, and I would want to lock in some profit. And it does look like that's what the shorts are doing here, as we didn't hit those all-time high shorts yet, and I would expect the daily chart to begin opening shorts again once we get a little bit of bounce on that daily chart for Bitcoin. Ethereum, again, I've been highlighting at this point for Ethereum to be the bear play comparative to Bitcoin because it's weaker for months at this point, probably a couple months. Highlighted the weekly inside bar the chart guys James was talking about. That bear break occurred at 271. Here we are under 200. So we're literally talking $80 out of 200. That's a significant dump. We're talking a 30% dump, and just very easy. Just inside bars on the weekly time frame are a bear's best friend over the last few months, and it's been doing nothing but giving clear entry signals and significant follow through. And again, it's the lack of support where we stand right now. If you're playing bearish, you want to find an altcoin that has a lot of space in between support levels. And in the last video, I said, you know, if we see another leg down here and break 250 on ETH, 200 is the next level we're looking at. And now we've already broken that. 202 is that support. So the next level that's clear on the weekly is 130. ETH is obviously hurting a lot, and we're close to a weekly oversold RSI, which has not happened in a very, very long time. We were single digits the last time that happened. So again, very notable weakness in Ethereum. Let's check out that ETH BTC chart just to see how beat up it is at this point. This is the Coinbase one. Again, if it's not going to change the trend, we can absolutely see extreme conditions for these RSI levels. So I'm looking down at 339, or the RSI was down at 16, and we got down to 3101 as where we stand right now. And again, the 4-hour time frame hasn't changed anytime recently. We're just dumping down exponential resistance for days, and at this point, the weekly chart is oversold, but that alone is not enough to get looking to get in. Let's look at this support though, 231. Keeping in mind that's still a very long ways away, 8 out of 31 away, so we're talking 25% or so away. But that would be an area where I would begin to say, all right, if Bitcoin's setting up for a bounce, I'm going to choose Ethereum over Bitcoin because we have this support level, because we're so extreme. But again, if Bitcoin's not going to bounce, I'm not going to be looking to play Ethereum bullish just based on this alone. I want to ensure that Bitcoin has a bounce coming, and then I would be looking for Ethereum to maybe see a bit of a stronger bounce because this pairing, ETH BTC, is so weak overall. But again, at this point, just RSI is not enough. There was a point in time where RSI was enough in the cryptocurrency space to be making entries, and we enter different market cycles. And right now is a market cycle where RSI is not enough. And we see these bear flags cooling off that RSI without giving significant opportunity on bounces. So we have to keep that in our minds. So ETH at this point on the 4-hour time frame, we've got resistance of 2020, and anything under that's just a lower high. Right now we're down at the low and still dumping. The 4-hour RSI is down at 13. The hourly RSI is down at 17. The daily RSI is down at 22. So again, very extreme RSI levels, but if Bitcoin's not showing us signs of a bounce, Ethereum is not going to bounce as well. And at this point, things are getting extreme. 190 psychological approaching it. We got just psychological levels. 190, 185, 180, all the way down to that 137, I believe was that level on the weekly time frame. 130, 130.26. Litecoin also with a bear flag confirmed. Actually, I take that back. It's not confirmed just yet. Bulls are clinging on to 49.33 support. We got down to 51.77, so still holding that level at this point. And on the daily time frame, again, clear weakness, heading down towards this support level, and that looks like it's going to be tested sometime before the end of the weekend, perhaps. This is another one like Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a bounce on the daily, even if it's a weak bounce, holding this weekly support level, 49.33, just like Bitcoin's trying to hold 5,900. 4-hour time frame, exponential resistance rejections, very clear signals for the bears to be looking for entries. 57.28 and 58.93 are our resistances, and dropping down to a lower low very clearly. RSI levels extreme, but not as extreme as some of the other names. And we do have a 15-minute bounce attempt, currently holding the low, but in order for the bulls to prove anything, they have to break 53.31. So we do have a short-term 15-minute channel to be watching. Same as Bitcoin. Bitcoin did drop to a lower low, where Litecoin did not. That's a little difference to note. And you look at the 15-minute for Ethereum. How's that bounce attempt? Very clear lead bear. Let's see how BCH shapes up with everybody else. It has confirmed the bear flag on the weekly as well. There's no support right now on BCH USD on Coinbase, so I have to go to another exchange to find that support. Got a door creaking behind me, which is lovely. So on the weekly, the next support for BCH is down at 280.10, and that's a long way away. So this is one of those altcoins that I would want as a bear with a lack of support nearby. So the daily chart, big 5 red days in a row, already breaking support. So even Bitcoin has not broken this, Litecoin has not broken this, BCH has. So that shows me it's a little bit weaker than those names. The 4-hour RSI is down at 22. We've got the hourly RSI down at 19.20. So extremely beat up here as well. The 15-minute time frame dropped to a clear lower low, whereas Bitcoin and Litecoin, actually Bitcoin just barely did as well. Litecoin has not yet. So just looking at these short-term time frames, I would say Litecoin is one of the stronger names. Ethereum is the clear weakest name. Then I would go Litecoin, Bitcoin, BCH, ETH on the 15-minute time frame on this bounce attempt. Other than that, it definitely shifts around their strength order on where their daily charts stand. But as far as this oversold bounce attempt, again, I just have no interest in trying to find this bounce and risking, fighting this trend to be looking for $50 or $100 scalp on BTC. So that's where we stand on all these names. It is definitely looking grim for the bulls. They do have some hope left, not a whole lot, but there are still some support levels. If we break Bitcoin 5,900, we're going to be looking down at 57.77 is the next level, and then 5,500, 5,600, 5,500 psychological after that. So unless we get some kind of clear sentiment shift or some big change, the bears are just going to be looking for daily lower high bounces and for continuation. So that's where we stand. We'll see if I can check in tomorrow. I appreciate you watching. I hope you all continue to do good things. Got to go to the Blue Lagoon today and had a wonderful soak and fancy masks, and we got to eat in a fancy restaurant with robes on. It was a fun experience, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Documenting as much as I can, and I'll share that with you when I get home. So thanks again. Try not to get depressed. It's only numbers on a screen. More important things in life. Other things to trade too. I mean, there's other opportunity out there. A lot of people are moving money. Some people on Twitter are saying that they believe that the crypto market and the Canadian MJ market are sharing a lot of traders, and that's obviously a very clear conclusion to be drawn to. And jumping from one to the next where the opportunity is, while it's not easy to transfer funds from these to and from these crypto exchanges, it's definitely ideal in times like this, unless of course you're making money as a bear, in which case congratulations. So I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. Have a good night.